Welcome back to the Maelstrom, ladies and gentlemen. We have another Warhammer 40k battle report for you today. We're playing 2,000 points, 1,000 Suns versus Black Templar. We're going to be playing Dominate and Destroy with pitch battle deployment. 1,000 Suns will be on this side, Black Templar opposite them. In Dominate and Destroy, we have 6 objectives. They're worth 1 point each for each turn that you control them. And we're also going to be trying to destroy each other's armies. Each fully destroyed unit is worth 1 point as well. You also have First Blood, Slay the Warlord, and Linebreaker as always. We'll be right back with the armies.
Okay, so the Black Templar will be organized into a battalion. My first HQ of my Warlord is a captain who is carrying the Teeth of Terra, and his Warlord trait is Rights of War. My second HQ is an Emperor's Champion. Then in the troop slots, I've got 2 squads of 9 Crusaders equipped with a pair of power swords and a melta-gun, and a squad of 10 Crusaders with bolters, a multi-melta, a melta-gun, and a power sword. They've also got a rhino for their transport. In my elites, I have a squad of 8 Reavers, and I have a squad of 3 aggressors with Flamestorm gauntlets. Then for fast attacks, I have a squad of 3 Inceptors with assault bolters, and a 10-man assault squad with 3 plasma pistols, a power sword, and a combat shield. Then in heavy supports, I have a 10-man Devastator squad with 4 missile launchers and an Armorium Cherub, and a Vindicator. And rounding out the last transport slot in the list is a Repulsor with a huge list of guns attached to it.
Next up, we have the 1,000 Suns. I'm going to be borrowing these from Josh today to give them a go. Starting out in the HQs, we are running a battalion. We have 2 individual Exalted Sorcerers back there in the back. They are going to be my Warlord and his assistant for the day. In the elite slot, we have a 6-man squad of Scarab Occult Terminators. They have a Hellfire missile rack. We have 2 Predators there in the back with all las cannons. They're going to be our long-range support. And then flanking the sorcerers to either side, we have 3 of the golem spawn that we use for this army. Adding to them is a huge block of rubrics. We're running 40 of them with Inferno Bolters and their sorcerers. And then up front to hold objectives and spend some points that I couldn't hardly get in anywhere else, I have Chaff. We have 21 cultists that are going to be holding objectives and mostly just dying. So you have seen the armies and you have seen the table. We will be back as we get stuck into the Maelstrom. Alright, setup is complete. Josh, let us know how the Black Templars are arrayed here.
So we kind of had to spread out so that we could capitalize on some movement to seize objectives early, considering we won the role to place objectives, which gave him the advantage on making sure there were 3 objectives in his deployment zone. So I put my fast-moving elements on my far flanks, the Assault Marines on one end, the Inceptors on the other, and then kind of line the Crusaders and the heavy support and the Reavers across the middle to hold the bulk of the 1,000 Suns back, hopefully. The Vindicator backed up, hold down into cover so that maybe we can get some shots off before those last cannons bark. And in the far corner, with the intention of advancing it and trying to get some shots before it takes crippling damage, the Repulsor loaded with aggressors.
Alright, over on the 1,000 Sun side, we have cultists on either flank to hold the objectives at the ends. And then we have gone for a massed deployment of the rubrics in the middle, with the Predators and Sorcerers in support, Spawn spearheading the advance. And then we have the Terminators deployed as well. Again, on this flank, more cultists waiting to swing out and grab this objective. Just wanted to make sure that Repulsor was not going to be around before we did it. Alright, so Black Templar finished deployment first. They're going to get +1 to their roll here. And with a 2, I'm going to need a 4 to take the first turn. Suns have a 4. The Ives Inch is upon us. We will make our initial advance and we will begin the attack. We will be back once the 1,000 Suns have completed their first turn. 1,000 Suns turn 1 has rolled to an end. We advanced and unleashed our initial volley. The psychic phase was pretty powerful. We only failed Doombolt. The rest of the powers went off. The main sorcerer cast his protective power here, so he gave these guys Weaver of Fates for better involt. And then we also cast Glamour of Zinch onto the lead squad of Spawn to give them -1 to be hit. He then took the Great Sorcerer stratagem to cast a third power and cast Smite and killed a few of the Devastators up here. He was joined in that by most of the Sorcerers around him. Between that and the shooting phase, we left 2 of the Devastators alive. Underneath, these guys also took a pounding. 1 Crusader remains there. And between the Hellfire Missile Rack, which used warp time to get into position, and the Predator, we were able to shoot through underneath and destroy the Rhino in the backfield. And 4 of the Marines inside rolled 1s and died when it went up. So terrible little bit of luck there. Over on this flank, we were able to fire here with a few bolter shots and bring down 2 of these Marines. We were also able to fire the second Predator here and do 6 wounds to the Vindicator. He did attempt to stop 1 power. He was unable to do that, and we got a command point back for him of the third eye on our Warlord. So very good initial volley there for Zinch. However, the Black Templars despise all things psychic, and their hatred is never quenched. They will begin their advance now, and we will be back at the bottom of 1. Alright, we had 1 very long charge for the Black Templar, so we went ahead and rolled their turn together. They did make it on double 6s. Josh, walk us down your turn.
So, we didn't have a lot of outgoing fire, but on the right side, the repulsor moved up and knocked down pretty much the whole squad. Left 1 guy standing there, and he's on an auto fail, so we don't have to worry about that. The Inceptors jumped up over the Bastion, and between them and the Vindicator, they knocked down a whole bunch of rubrics out of that 1 squad, and then the Inceptors managed a 10 or 11 inch charge. We rolled a 12 and went into combat with them. We didn't do squat in combat, but we did mortal wound 1 when we charged him and killed him. And then between Overwatch and close combat, we lost 1 of the Inceptors in the ensuing melee. On the far left flank, we moved the Assault Marines up to try to get a flank around on this huge block of rubrics. And the Tactical Squad and the Reavers standing on the gantry combined fire to go down on the Cultist in the corner. We left 2 of them standing, and he burned 2 points so that they will not run at the end of my turn. So, still got 2 more Cultists to clear off of peripheral objectives if we want to try to bring that point swing back from the first turn.
But you did collect, let's see, you picked up 2 objectives, or 3? 2 objectives, and you also are going to pick up a point for this unit, and then I need to see if these rubrics are going to stick around. So we lost 7, we're going to need a 1 to emerge unscathed. 6, we're going to go ahead and burn a command point. See if we can keep some rubrics in this fight. A 1, we're good to go. Alright, so that is the end of Black Templar's turn 1, Thousand Sun turn 2, coming up. Thousand Suns turn 2 is ready for the assault phase. Started things off by falling back from close combat here. We then cast some powers. A little more average on our psychic test that time. We got off Weaver of Fates on this end to protect these guys. We got a Smite that was an 11, but we rolled a 1 for the wound. But we also put Presence on these guys and Veterans of the Long War to go ahead and cut down the last of those guys, make sure we got rid of them. Spawn continued their advance up here. Sorcerer advanced to behind the tower. These Marines moved forward and took a warp time. He attempted to stop that, but was unable to with his Black Templar hatred of Psychers. I was able to move forward with them. Terminators moved up here along with the other rubrics, and their fire cut down all but 1 of the plasma squad, or the assault squad. The plasma gun sergeant is the only one left. Here underneath, 4 of these Marines went down. They rolled like bosses on their saves. I dealt them 6 wounds. They rolled 4 5s, so they stayed in it. Got 3 of them remaining. Getting a couple of charges in hand here. Also, anti-tank fire. We moved this up, took Blasphemous Machines to get it in range of the Sorcerer. And the 2 Predators combined fire with the Hellfire Missile Rack to leave the Repulsor at 1 wound remaining. So pretty good little bout of anti-tank fire there. We got a couple of assaults to attempt, and we will be back. Alright, Thousand Suns assault phase is over. We attempted to make charges with both rubric squads to try to lock these 3 guys up, but we were unable to get in there on them. The only charge we were able to make was the spawn. They rolled -4 for their AP and promptly slaughtered the 2 Devastators and then moved over here towards the leaders. So that is the end of Thousand Suns turn 2. We will be back with the Black Templars. The Black Templar up to the assault phase. Josh, tell us about it.
There's not a lot left to shoot out there, but the repulsor disgorged its aggressors so that they could move up before that thing blows up and manages to kill everything around it like it has every time we played it up to this point. But he then turned his heavy onslaught cannon down and down 3 rubrics with it, so I can't really complain for a crippled up tank to do that much damage to troops that are that hard to kill normally. The Vindicator fired on the rubrics down here and downed a couple of them. The Captain fired his Mastercrafted bolter on them and downed the 3rd one. The Tactical Squad over here fired their Meltagun and downed 1 guy, and I think a stray bolter round out of the Reavers managed to down the 2nd one there. We got some big charges coming up, hoping to do enough damage to kind of stymie the flow. We are way behind in points, so we've got to have a big swing in the next turn or 2.
Black Templar assault phase rolls to an end. Josh, talk us down what happened.
Well, we made some charges in some pretty key spots, but ultimately the Emperor's Champion went down to the squad sergeant in that rubric squad. He did manage to kill 3 with his attacks, and the Reavers knocked 1 more down with their attacks.
Yep.
But losing the Emperor's Champion is a pretty big blow there. The Tactical Squad charged into the rubrics there and bounced off and lost a man for their efforts. And the assault sergeant,
loser of the night,
after missing with his plasma pistol in the shooting phase, charges the 2 cultists and misses. Burn 2 points. He misses twice again. Yeah, he's really the team MVP this game.
Yeah, no kidding. Swinging like a champ. Over here.
And, the Captain charged in and cut down one of the spawn outright, and the Meltagunner with him wounded the other spawn.
Yep, no damage in return from the spawn. All right, that's the end of Thousand Suns 2. Score is currently sitting at 12-5, right? Because of the Emperor's Champion going down. Thousand Sun response coming up. Thousand Suns turn 3 rolls to an end. We got a couple of assaults to attempt, but we did go ahead and finish through our shooting. We fell back over here to milk 1 more point out of these cultists before they get obliterated. Through the psychic phase, we were able to smite a couple of dudes out of this close combat. And then we cast Prescience on the Terminators, and then we also had them within range of the Sorcerer. They fired here and obliterated the Reavers. We have the Sergeant remaining. The rest of them were cut down. The Sorcerer moved up to hold this objective while the Spawn moved away, and the Spawn back here fell back rather than getting chopped up by the Teeth of Terra. First Predator fired there and destroyed the Vindicator with its 6 points remaining. The Hellfire Rack from the Thousand Sun Terminators was able to finish off the Repulsor's final point. And then these 2 squads combined fire with the Predator to cut down all 3 aggressors that were advancing on our flank over here. So tons of damage done there. We got a couple of assaults to attempt, and we will be back. Thousand Sun assault phase is over, and the Black Templar are going to go ahead and bow out there. We were able to kill the last Reaver in close combat with the Spawn, who consolidated onto the objective there for a point, which also gave us a 2nd point for the Reavers going down. We got a point for killing the last Tactical Marine here, which gave us 3. They moved in this direction. We are holding the objective since it is a fast attack versus a troop, which gave us our 4th point for the turn. Got our 5th here, our 6th here, and then we destroyed the 2 down there, so that was 8 more plus the aggressor, so 9 points that turn. Pretty rough turn for the Black Templar. We will have after-action reviews and army lists at the blog as always. Be sure to give us a like on Facebook. That's the best way to see our new content as it comes out. Also, go over to YouTube and give us a subscription if you enjoy our battle reports. That metric is everything on YouTube. We appreciate all of you who have done that already. We will have after-action reviews and army lists at the blog. As always, guys, thanks for spending time with us today at the Maelstrom.